I'm talking about young shakes. 502 represent. Just a change. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city, dog, I ain't never been a jumper.
Hello, this is Lacy Rice, Rice Fame Group, and this is episode 6 of Chat with HBCU Champions. Today we have head coach Chris McConnell of Philander Smith College. His men's cross country team won the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference's cross country championship this year. And we're here to chat with him and to find out more about his program, his background, and what he has to come in the near future. So how you doing today, Coach?
Doing well. It's a pleasure. I appreciate you taking the time to interview about our program. We've just recently just got settled in we actually have a meet tomorrow. And so I just appreciate you taking that time out to learn more about our program and just to learn more about who we are.
Okay. Well, with that being said, first thing we want to know more about is you. What's your background in cross country or cross country and track and field?
So I am originally from Port Arthur, Texas. Graduate of Memorial High School, Port Arthur, Texas, and I ran track, cross country there, played football, basketball, and I also actually started as a soccer player, which is probably gave me a strong foundation for track and field. I attended Kansas City, Kansas Community College, and I ran track there for 2 years under head coach Albert Hobson, who coached many track and field USA professional track and field athletes, Maurice Green, Dexter Fogg, Ivory Williams, Mark Jelks, and et cetera, Mona Lee, et cetera, professional athletes. I then transferred to the Houston Tillotson University in Austin, Texas, go Mighty Rams, where I competed in the 400, the 800, 3,000, 5,000, 4x8, where my teams, the 4x4 team that I was a part of was All-American, and I was an all-conference athlete in the 400, 800, 1,500, 3,000, as well as the 4x4, 4x8. And I also was all conference and went to nationals in cross country as well. I was hired at Philander Smith College from President Roderick L. Smothers Sr., who was the 14th president of Philander Smith College. And he gave me the opportunity to relaunch the Mighty Panthers track and field program that had been non-existent for many years. And so just having this privilege to bring this program back to life has been a life-changing journey, not only for these young men and women, but also for myself, seeing their progression, seeing how their lives have evolved and changed, seeing how this program has helped build a strong foundation for their careers. It's been a blessing, and I'm forever grateful. The 3 core values of my program are dedication, discipline, and determination. And those 3 core values have set the tone for not only my track and field and cross country athletes through their matriculation, but also as they transition into adulthood, into the real world. So that's who I am in a niche.
Okay. Well, that's a daunting task to resurrect a program. And I know that that journey can be kind of difficult at times, but also rewarding at the end sometimes. Can you elaborate more on that, on what your experience has been with resurrecting the program there?
Yeah, so I started this program with, we officially started competing in 2017, and I started with only one athlete, one young lady by the name of Zora Talbert. She went on to become all conference athlete in the 400, 800, 1500, as well as she as well as qualifying for the NAIA National Cross Country Championships. That year, it was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Um, and then from there, I've been able to grow the program from one to now 40 plus athletes. And as I said in 2017, and I'll say it now in 2022, we're here and we don't plan to go anywhere, forward always. And we plan to not only um, strive to win one championship, but if Lord willing, many more to come.
Okay, okay, wow. And that's been a very short period of time to go from 1 to 40. So I assume that your administration has been fully supportive, especially when it comes to the financing, scholarships, and various things like that.
Oh yeah, I Philander is definitely a community. Um, it's definitely a home environment where everyone has a cohesive mindset and a collaborative mindset to elevate the students and to serve them in the greatest capacity possible.
Okay, well, that's definitely great to hear because there are a lot of programs that have been very well established for many years, and they're struggling now to get 40 athletes. Of course, it's all about finances and things like that. Um, so tell us a little bit more about Philander Smith. How big is the student body? How many academic programs, or what are some of the key academic programs?
Yeah,
What's some of the key academic programs that your athletes are enrolled in?
Biology is definitely one of the most lucrative degrees. Our biology department, criminal justice, um, 2000, in mind you, through COVID. Officially 2020. One of my athletes, she was of the valedictorian of Philander Smith. She was a criminal justice major. She graduated with a 4.0. Um, Young lady by the name of Ramona Smoot. And then also her teammate was a criminal justice major, 3.8. Um, Team captain Noel Lyons, who was four-time all-conference, four-time national qualifier and competitor, as well as being a part of the championship team. Criminal justice major um, Jaron Cooper, Miss Philander Smith College, as well as 2019 hammer, shot put, and discus champion and field event MVP of 2019, psychology major. Um, we have a strong emphasis with our social justice department. That is the the overall forward movement. We have our slogan is Philander Forward, and prior to that, it was Philander Think Justice. And we have a very strong emphasis on bringing social justice to our community and instilling that into our young scholars. Um, our Kines department is very strong, and also, of course, business administration and computer science.
Wow, that's great, and
And we have
uh,
over about 800, 800 students currently at Philander Smith.
okay,
on
Okay.
campus. Yes.
Okay. So, and being one who's been a coach for several years myself, it always does my heart well when I hear a coach who encourages or who puts an emphasis on academics. So I always have to. Sometimes I have to remind athletes that, hey, you're a student first. You know, no matter what level it is, I said from middle school, high school, college. Hey, you're a student first. You got to do what you have to do in the classroom before you can come out here and compete.
Absolutely.
And so, you
We're
know,
student
mhm,
centered, student athletes. The two go hand in hand. But the student, of course, is the primary. Um, the athlete is secondary, and it is pivotal because as I tell my student athletes, you only have a short window of being a collegiate athlete. Collegiate athlete, you can always continue to compete. However, the time frame that you have in undergrad or even post grad is limited. Um, but nothing, the one thing that no one can take from you is your education. And so, yeah, we definitely push being a strong student athlete first. Majority of my student athletes, and this is also part of the recruitment process. They have to at least have a minimal GPA to be scholarshiped, for that matter, a minimal GPA of 3.0. Um, they usually come in, they are able to receive academic scholarships, which they must maintain, as well as receiving track, cross country, and or both scholarships in order to help facilitate the financials for their education.
well, NAIA is quite different from NCAA as far as scholarship allocations. So can you explain what you are allotted as far as cross country and as far as track and field, and um, how how a coach can package an athlete who is considered a scholarship athlete versus
Right.
a walk on or a non scholarship athlete?
So we are a private institution, and so as I said before, uh, grades are of the utmost importance. Um, the NAIA, it's academically driven, character driven, um, and it's very not just academically driven, but also uh, it sets a precedence has been set where it's not just about attending the national championships, but also becoming an academic All American. So we have a few programs in place. So one of the really great programs that almost all of my athletes that have been a part of my program have participated in is the summer bridge program called the START program. It's a 6 week integrating program where I'm sorry, graduated seniors from high school, they will attend summer courses throughout the 6 week. So they'll actually have the opportunity to move on campus for those 6 weeks, and they will take 9 to 12 college credits that will apply towards their fall semester, and these credits count towards their degree, and it incentivizes them to be a part of the program. And this is where it gets the incentivized kicks in, where it gets the sweet spot where they receive a scholarship, I believe, of 2,500 every semester until they graduate, just for participating. They're not paying for these courses just for attending the program and finishing the program. And then on top of that, we have the different scholarships. We have the Thomas or George Taylor Scholarship, which pays for half of their tuition. We have the Thomas Mason Scholarship, which pays for full tuition and fees. And then we have the President Roger Gale Smothers Presidential Scholarship, which is full ride academic scholarship. So there are ways at private institutions like Philander Smith College where you can have your education paid for. But I definitely encourage high school students to be disciplined in their academics because, mom and dad can't, they especially, a lot of these kids, they have younger siblings as well, and I'm very transparent with them and say, hey, it's time for you to step up to the plate and step into young womanhood, and take some responsibility for yourself. But it starts with doing the simple things, going to class, because that discipline usually translates to how they operate in undergrad. Freshman year in college, freshman semester, that first year is so pivotal to the rest of your matriculation because it's kind of hard to bounce back if you have a poor semester or even a poor year as a freshman. A couple C's and D's or even an F there, it makes it really hard for you to get back into those 3.0 range. You really got to have a outstanding next 2 to 3 or even 4 semesters in order to get that GPA back into a status of decent for that matter, acceptable. So I definitely think that I just can't reiterate that enough. Academics can pay for your education. And there are so many schools out there where you might not be able to, whatever major state that you're from, I tell athletes my route. I was a JUCO athlete, junior college, went to nationals there. I graduated with a 4.0 from my junior college, best decision that I probably ever made. Then, transferred to a sister institution, to Philander Smith, private institution, HBCU, proud HBCU grad. And, we were right in the downtown Austin, Texas, 10 minutes away from the University of Austin, where a lot of students would, probably much prefer if they didn't know other options. They believed that UT was the only option. Of course, very, 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 one of the most prestigious institutions in the world. However, there are other schools that are really, really, or even the best fits. And I strongly believe that if you give it a chance, that HBCU can change your life as it did for me.
Yes, most definitely. And even though I wasn't an athlete, at least not on the collegiate athletic level. I was more of I was a club athlete when I was in college, but I took a similar route. Went to community college first, transferred over to Kentucky State University.
Okay.
And my family was HBCU driven, especially my father. And being from Alabama, I think I got to see pretty much almost every HBCU down there. which there's a lot. But when I actually started going to college, was thinking PWIs, but then, due to unforeseen circumstances, I started having to look at Kentucky State more. And that was the best decision that I made. I had opportunities there that I know I wouldn't have had at University of Kentucky or University of Louisville at that particular time. And so, and I can honestly say I'm doing things like this now because of the education that I received at Kentucky State and the opportunities I received there as a student and as a student leader. And so I definitely feel you on that. And yeah, that's one thing too. I guess a lot of people, our NCAA HBCUs are the ones that receive all the press. And many are not. Many do not realize that we have a lot of HBCUs on the NAIA level.
We
have
do.
a few on the USCCAA level,
That is correct.
And the NCCAA level. And actually, Coach Prime, the one who brought a lot of attention to HBCUs, is a graduate of Talladega.
Indeed.
And I didn't know that at first when he first took over that program down there at Jackson State. I did not know that till I did some research and to try to find out where that connection was, because everybody knew Florida State, but when he came back, he decided to go to an HBCU.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, let's transition over into more of your season this year.
Okay.
You were conference champions on the men's side. How was that journey this year?
This year, in year officially 6, will be the 6th this year. We are still in a building phase of our program. Getting kids from all parts of the country. I have athletes from Arizona, Colorado, California, a handful of athletes from Texas, as you would probably guess. Handful of my conference champ. His name is Desmond Merritt. He's from Duncanville, Texas, about right outside of Dallas, one of the towns inside of Dallas, Texas. Handful of local athletes as well, from West Memphis, Arkansas, right outside, about hour and 45 minutes from Little Rock. So just still in their recruitment process to continue to build and build and build and build. The goal, and to be transparent, our program hasn't had the opportunity to compete. Lord willing, this will be our first year back competing and having a full season since 2019. Due to the pandemic, COVID is really has not been favorable to us during track season, and so the goal is to, of course, the overall goal is to win, but at best to complete our season, and so that is the goal. I think that it's much needed for the morale of my program, my men's and the women's side, and I think that once they get a season under their belt, and they're able to see the literally to finish the race, I think that that will incline them to continue to stay dedicated, disciplined, and determined. What I tell my athletes is that what they don't realize is that while I do recruit them, once we travel to track meets, and there are like this meet here at Mississippi College, and you'll see a lot of junior college athletes and even high school athletes, they become recruiters. And there are athletes out there that are looking for a home. And so my goal is to not only put on the best performance possible, but also the best presentation of what it looks like to be a black track and field program and carry ourselves with poise, grace, a competitive spirit, but also with professionalism and pride.
And that is very important. And one of the things I always stress to athletes, if you competed in high school in track and field, cross country, if you were at least decent, there's always a place for you. That
There is.
somebody somewhere will take you. You just have to, you might have to lower your expectations. If you one of the problems I ran into as a Division 3 sprints coach was, the last people I tried to recruit were some of the athletes in the state who had not signed with anyone, guys running 11.1 and 100.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling me they're planning to walk on at University of Kentucky. And I'm having to ask them, have you talked to the coach at University of Kentucky yet? I don't think he's gonna let you try out.
Yes, it's just and it's just being realistic. Um, I tell my athletes I wasn't the by far. I was a 48, 48 guy. I was a 154 guy. I ran 4:15 in the 1500. Uh, uh, um, our relay team did run, and our 4x4 team did run 3:10. However, that was great for the level that I was a part of, and I did have, it was. I just had to be realistic because I did have colleagues that, hey Chris, why don't you train on a professional level? And I did indeed. I did try, and you know, I tell my athletes, look, unless you run minimal 10 flat, 20 point, 44, 45, minimal. I've never ran 149, 148 ever. 153 in the 800. And that was on a 4x8. But you know, you really have to be. It's really on the next level, and runners are getting runners, jumpers, throwers, whatever your event is, in all respects to it, they're getting better, and it does not mean that you do not have the capability. You just have to be realistic of the level that you're at, and you can still be competitive and still enjoy your time as a college athlete.
And I think that's very important. And I love the fact that you're mentioning this, and that you talk about that real talk that you have with athletes, because one thing I tell athletes too is that it, it, track and field and cross country, those are two sports where it doesn't matter what level you're running on in college. If you're with a good coach, it doesn't matter,
Doesn't
because
matter.
if you fast, you're fast, and somebody will find you. Carmelita the Jetter, D2.
Me too.
Batman, D2.
Me too.
All these athletes that
Michael Rogers, NAIA,
hmm
Oklahoma Baptist.
And that's the thing. If you fast, you're fast. Period. And so uh, I think I'm hoping that a lot of coaches, especially in the NAIA, can convince athletes about that. I had close relationships with a lot of coaches on the NAIA level. A lot of them did grab top athletes out of various states. They were able to package things up even with a minimal number of actual athletic scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, you guys, especially in NAIA, you do a marvelous job, and you have wonderful athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I love about the NAIA that the NCAA doesn't have is that Champions of Character Award.
Yes.
And
I
so,
was a champion. I won the champion of character, my junior and senior year.
okay. Well, can you talk more about that? What that is?
Yes. So the the champions of character is the principal foundation of the NAIA. Okay. The It's a 5 core value system, which is integrity, respect, responsibility, sportsmanship, and servant leadership. And those 5 core values, I think, are much more important than any championship because it defines your character of who you are as a person. I know a lot of colleagues that did run at Division 1, and that's all they can say is that they ran at Division 1. They didn't. They can say that they wish that they attended HBCU because it taught them the life lessons of being an individual service and just their overall character development. I definitely apply those principles to my team. I think that it's much more important because when they do transition and complete their matriculation, I what I'm most proud of is that every single last one of my athletes that graduate, every single last one of them, they graduate top of their top of their class, dean's list, president's list, summa cum laude, magna cum laude. As I said, I had a valedictorian in 2020, and they also have careers. I have athletes 22 years old, police officers, therapists, have started their own nonprofits, athletes that are now working at the institution. So, I mean, one of my first athletes' name is Mr. Benjamin Mason. He was all conference in the 4x1 2019. He is the special assistant to the president. And so, and it shows. I have athletes, Breonna Alexander, 2-time all-conference athlete, 2-time national qualifier, 2-time national competitor for cross country and track and field. Is starting medical school this year. All of my athletes and their internships or jobs employers have stated they can see that these young men and women are set apart based on their character. So yes, those 5 core values are extremely pivotal to their progression and their character development.
So, can you tell us more about the individual members of your men's cross country team?
Ooh, it's a lot of them. But a handful of them just off the top of my head that stand out that I'm really excited to see. Call him Sani, but his name is Allah Hassan Elohim. That is his name. He's from Denver, Colorado. This young man, every day, with no hesitation, gives it 110%. He's a sprinter who's capable of running the 1, 2, and the 4, but also was able to place all conference this past year in the cross country championships, 13th out of 50 plus athletes. Just a competitor and very athletic. Miles Flood is another individual. I'm excited to see him run. Joshua Thomas, Joseph Stewart, senior team captain Cameron Lewis, Ayana Allen. On the women's side, Graciela Gomez. I mean, this young lady is just dynamic. She can run. She has untapped ceiling, and her capability is unmatched. She can run from the 800 all the way to the 10K. And so it's a handful of athletes: Allison Edwards, Ishmael Black, Mallory Peddleton. It's so many of my athletes on both the men's and the women's side. Joshua Williams, Justin Holland, Joshua Goffney, one of my top throwers. My throwers team looks really, really, really good. Freshman Andrea King, Zoe Strong, seniors Nyla Lloyd, Alexis Lewis, and so many others. I mean, I really think this is going to be a really, really, really good year for our Philander Smith College.
Okay. So, tell us a bit about the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. Some of your competitors and the various teams that comprise that conference.
So we have in our conference right now, it is us, Dillard University, who has a really, really strong program, Russ College, Tougaloo College. We also have Edward's University, and now this year they'll be joining us next year. Southern University New Orleans, they'll be rejoining our program, and coming from the Red River Conference, Wiley College, and I believe from the Southern States, Oakwood.
Okay. All right. So you'll be adding 2 new members next year.
Correct.
Okay. Because I know there's been a lot of flux within the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, and I believe Edward Waters is actually on the verge of becoming a member of the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference in
That is correct.
NAIA Division II.
That is correct.
And also I had a chance of interviewing Xavier of Louisiana.
They're now Red River.
Right, and they left and went over there. But at least, I guess that was a trade-off getting Wiley from over there.
Right.
So okay. And so as far as your prospects for next year in cross country, I know you can't might not be able to discuss certain individuals, but do you have what you feel like to be a strong recruiting class coming in next year?
I have a handful of athletes from Dallas, Houston, California, especially the Oakland area. One of my cross country captains, best athletes, Isaiah Millett. He's came such a long way, and he is number 3 runner in our conference for my team, and so I'm definitely looking to recruit more athletes from that area. St. Louis got some good kids coming out of the area, so yeah, got some things cooking.
Okay. So you're looking to ratchet up that pressure on those other teams in your conference.
Indeed.
Well, since you've been in the conference, who has been like the over the time that you've been there in that conference, who's been like the most dominant program?
Prior to them leaving, Xavier.
Okay.
Xavier and Diller have always had excellent programs.
Mhm.
We were the no-name underdogs that were fortunate and blessed to come out of nowhere, and now we're here.
Okay. Okay. So you caught everybody by surprise this year.
You could say that.
Did your team get a chance to compete in the national HBCU championships?
We will this year.
Okay. Okay. And where will that championship be this year?
It's called the Jet Relays,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be in Lancaster, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually next weekend.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's outdoor meet.
Correct.
Okay. 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 Now on the cross country side, is there a national HBCU championship?
There is not. There's only the national cross country meet for all NAIA schools, and that was located this year in Vancouver, Washington.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, so somebody wanted to come along and maybe organize a all HBCU championship. This would be a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I would be inclined. I would definitely be inclined to I would look forward to that.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, I would definitely also keep that in mind myself, because once again, it might be an opportunity to have us all, all these HBCUs to come together. Because I always thought it'd be interesting to see which programs would stand out between NCAA and NAIA programs, and then of course including those programs from NCCAA and USCCA. You know, who really is the cream of the crop.
Right.
So that would be very interesting, and
yeah, I would look forward to that. That would be something that I think my team and the rest of this, just HBCUs as a whole would be interested in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, I said that discussion has taken place. We just didn't know, what was happening and everything until now.
Gotcha.
So you might be hearing something soon.
Okay.
And now, do a lot of your cross country, or do all of your cross country athletes compete in like indoor and outdoor, or
Yeah.
Okay. And how have they performed so far? The ones that have returned, like in indoor.
So we didn't compete in indoor this year due to COVID.
Okay.
So tomorrow will be our test.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So also tomorrow's the first outdoor meet.
Correct.
Okay. 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 All right. So now where is your outdoor championship hosted this year?
It'll be in New Orleans.
All right. All right. So that'll be another thing for us to keep an eye on, to see where Philander Smith ends up, and see about you returning to us, telling us more about your team this year.
Indeed.
Okay. Well, I know that you had other things that you had to do, and so we're not going to try to keep you too much longer. But is there anyone who you want to give recognition or a shout out to as we begin to wrap up?
Well, first and foremost, of course, I thank God for this opportunity. And second, my wife, who I met in undergrad at Houston Tillis University. we have two beautiful children together, two boys, Christopher Jr. and Christian. Um, we both have came from so far from just undergrad in both of our careers. We literally created a family during our time in our alma mater. Um, we are family. Our prospective fraternities and sorority members are intertwined. Um, I am a proud member of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, while she is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I have one of my line brothers is married to hers, and she's just been the utmost supportive system in my career. And I wouldn't have won any of championships, accolades, without her support. Even when I became Coach of the Year in 2018, to the second Coach of the Year award, she's been there for me, and then also, of course, President Roderick L. Smothers giving me this opportunity. AD Roderick Smothers Jr., who is a phenomenal athletic director, and then Coach Brandon Greenwood, who is a big brother of mine. He's the head women's basketball coach at Philander Smith, who's also won a championship. And, he took me in and, kind of showed me how things operate at Philander Smith. So I'm just very appreciative of them and everything they have done in contribution to who you all see today.
And before I let you go, for my final comment, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to talk about your coaching staff.
So it is myself and my speed and I call my speeding technician coach is Coach Kenneth Farr, who is all conference and all American from from southeast eastern Missouri. Call it SEMO. And before that, he was at Arkansas Baptist, where he ran 10:23 and 100, and he's also the coach of the Summer Track Club Team Elite, which is a very well recognized track club here or there in Arkansas. And then also my throwing coach, Mr. Tyrone Blanks, who's my throwing coach, very well known just in the sports. He's a graduate of Ouachita Baptist University. And so I'm very proud of the things that we're doing here at Philander Smith in this program, and stay tuned for more.
Okay, most definitely will. And I would like to give a shout out to your sports information director, Miss Coach TJ Day.
My other fraternity brother, absolutely.
He was the one who hooked this up through many communications, and then even when we had technical difficulty, he was able to reschedule everything. So I please give him my regards, because I really appreciate that, and I really have enjoyed this conversation with you, and will ensure you, whether you're a conference champion or not, you're always welcome here, and I will definitely keep in contact with you.
Excellent.
All right. Well, we know that you have to run. You have some people to feed and, and to prepare for tomorrow. So we don't want to hinder you from doing that, and we wish you all the best in your meet tomorrow. And like I said, we will definitely keep in touch and keep track of how you're doing, and just hope that we do have you on here once again as a champion.
Excellent. I appreciate you. My wife, Sharnia McConnell, I love you. I appreciate you. Let's go get this second championship.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Coach.
All righty.
Hey, I do it for my city. I don't plan on going